So I think that somebody was saying today that perhaps there wasn't, that maybe theory came out of practice, and I think that that's true. But I think it's also true that whenever we're involved in practice, we're also putting forward a theory. We're putting forward an interpretation. So perhaps it's useful to think of those together rather than as very separate kinds of activities. So I'll start my paper. The scene of the crime. Utter darkness. Some indiscernible sounds. The sounds grow louder, more distinct. Grunts, gasps, rustling in the dark. The lights go up slightly. Mournful, beautiful tango comes out of nowhere. Two figures can be made out, though it's not clear, either from their movements or from the noises they make, whether they're struggling or having sex. What's happening? Who are they? It's a man and a woman. They're in a pit full of mud. It's sex, it seems, from the way she sits on his lap, clutching him. He howls, slaps her, pushes her away. He stands up, cinching his pants at the waist. She clings to him. He yells at her. A female voice answers, but it's not her voice. Where is this coming from? He throws her into the pit, slaps her some more, kicks her, pulls all her clothes off. She tries to get close to him. He grabs her face, hits her. He screams, "Bitch." He pulls up her naked body, exposing her, humiliating her. Though the female voice talks back, it's not hers. She never says a word, just whimpers and crawls back to him. He kills her. The female voice vows revenge. He won't get away with it. He stands defiantly, buttoning up his military jacket as he towers over her prostrate, naked body. Applause. Weary but content, Eduardo Pavlovsky, Susana Evans, and Stella Galassi, the voice off stage, take their bows in the circular tub full of mud. From the bleachers, I watched in stunned silence. I was disoriented. How to position myself in the face of the spectacle I had just seen. I was trapped between wanting to see, to make out what was happening in front of me, and not wanting to see once I had made out. I tried to disbelieve this couldn't be happening. By moments, the mournful tango and the beautiful lighting swept me up to what seemed a lofty plateau of transcendent meaning where this all made sense aesthetically. But her brutalized body brought me back. I wondered what the other members of the audience felt. Were they looking at her destruction or through it to that lofty beyond? The prolonged applause suggested that the play had resonated with them. Paso de Dos by Eduardo Pavlovsky was the hit of the Argentine 1990 season. The show had been sold out for months. What were people expecting to see, I wondered? What was I expecting? I wasn't sure. But having read Pavlovsky's earlier work and the original script for this play, Voces, or Voices, I anticipated some indictment of the atrocities of the dirty war. Eduardo Pavlovsky, a psychotherapist, playwright, actor, had been a prominent leftist and a confirmed enemy of the military regime. He had narrowly escaped abduction by the military in 1978 and had gone into exile in Spain until 1980. In 1990, 14 years after the beginning of a period of systematized terror during which 30,000 people were abducted, tortured, and permanently disappeared, Pavlovsky played he, a monomaniacal military man who beat, stripped, raped, and finally killed she, played by Susanna Evans, Pawlowski's wife. What did this graphic fantasy convey about Argentine nationness? What function was it performing for the enthralled audience? And what was my role there anyway? The play clearly raised questions regarding criminality, complicity, and resistance in the context of Argentina's tragedy. He, the male protagonist, is a torturer during the Dirty War who becomes obsessed with one of his female victims. She, the script tells us, becomes caught up in his search for intensity. They engage in a torturous ceremony during which he inflicts pain on her body. She endures the ordeal stoically, but then the play suggests he was not torturing her to obtain answers. He wanted her to resist, to keep silent, so that the interrogations and sessions might continue and intensify his pleasure. Now, after the Dirty War is over, he confesses in a meeting they have arranged he still needs her, not as a source of intensity, but to give him his identity. I quote, "I don't understand you. Now you could scream out my name, and again you choose to keep quiet. You won't say a word. Confess, you bitch. Scream out who I am, who I was, because I existed. Why? Why won't you name me?" End of the quote. Her final choice at the end of the script is again to keep silence. She will deny him the hero status enjoyed by the generals who are free to walk down the streets of Buenos Aires. Throughout the play, he demands, he interrogates, tortures, and possesses her entirely, but she wins. She, not he, the play wants us to believe, holds the ultimate power. Paso de Dos provides a complicated and very problematic example of how memory is preserved and embodied in performance. On one hand, the play specifically deals with torture and with the Dirty War in a political moment in which Argentina was embarked on official forgetting. This was in 1990, so the government of Menem did not want to talk anymore about the Dirty War. The play alerts us to the dangers of the upcoming indulto, the amnesty given to the military generals found guilty of crimes against humanity in the trials of the generals in 1985 under President Alfonsín. Ella decides not to speak, not to press charges, because remembering would bring neither justice nor peace to the victims. Any attempt to remember would only contribute to the glorification of military machismo. But rather than critique the politics of silencing, the final image of the play converts her silence